During his first day in office, President Trump signing an executive order suspending America's Refugee program. This move leaving many refugees scrambling, with those approved to travel to the U.S. having those plans halted. 13 on your side's Aaron Sullivan live with us from the newsroom this morning, breaking down what that means for refugees here in West Michigan. Aaron?
Emily, good morning. I'm told many of those refugees potentially could have been relocated right here in West Michigan. But for now, that's not possible. I did speak with Meg Durr, Executive Director of the Refugee Education Center right here in Kentwood, and she broke this all down on what this means for them moving forward.
So there's a lot of heartbreak in the community as well.
After going through an extensive process and getting approved to seek refuge in the United States, many refugees will now have to find safety elsewhere. After the Trump administration's suspension of the country's refugee resettlement program, that's no longer an option. In a 2024 refugee admissions report, the United States is the top global resettlement decision, surpassing Europe and Canada. Meg Durr, Executive Director of the Refugee Education Center, says organizations everywhere are feeling an impact.
It obviously affects resettlement agencies immediately because their contract is with the federal government, and essentially that contract is suspended. We are a little downstream of that because we're not a resettlement agency, but we are supporting families once they are resettled.
The center in Kentwood helps refugees from all over the world, but sees a large pull from Africa's Congo and Afghans who helped the U.S. military during the Afghanistan war.
Folks who are here as refugees in the United States aren't necessarily here for the American dream. They're here because they fear for their lives in the country they came from, their country of origin. So they are here to have a better life than they did, but they're usually pretty sad that they're not back in their country of origin, but it's very unsafe for them to be there.
According to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, there are over 31.6 million refugees awaiting placement. Only about 1% of them have been resettled. So how does our country play a role in resettlement? Well, each sitting U.S. president decides the number of refugees allowed to be admitted. Taking a look back at the last 4 sitting presidents, this number has changed. When Trump entered the White House in 2016, the country's refugee admission was at 110,000. By 2021, that was dropped to only 15,000 due to factors like the COVID-19 pandemic. And fast forward to 2025, that number is 0.
And so we were all expecting in the ecosystem that things would be contracting, but not halted altogether. So this does feel a little different than it did before. And we did make it through the last administration. And certainly we just don't know a lot right now. Things change on a daily basis.
Durr says there's a lot of fear and uncertainty for refugees in West Michigan, but there's still work to be done.
We'd like to keep working through the next 4 years. There's very important work to do, so we appreciate any and all financial support as well as volunteer support.
Now, the sitting president has the opportunity to revisit this every 90 days, so it is possible that the refugee admissions program could once begin again. But for now, the number of arrivals is still at 0. Emily?
Aaron, the president has recently made an exception to his refugee admission policy. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Emily, on Friday, President Trump directed government officials to prioritize the resettlement of South Africans of European descent. In an executive order, Trump accused the South African government of discriminating against white South Africans. Now, it's unclear when this plan would be enacted.
Aaron, thanks for that report.